Hi, everybody. This is Alex Milstein. I'm the editor-in-chief of Betting News Now, and this is Bet Ed Now, bite-sized bits of betting industry knowledge. Today, my guest is Bob Muenkel. He's the founder of consulting firm UncleMuenkel, which focuses on sales, training, and education in the mattress industry. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate the invitation.
Yes, thank you for being here today. As Bob is an expert sales trainer, we're going to talk about sales training. And he's also an industry veteran. So I wanted to dive a little bit into the past and see, when did sales training really pick up importance in the industry? Was there a specific time that you can remember?
I would say sales training has always been important to the industry. I mean, I sold my first mattress in 1988. So, I was in retail for over 10 years, then wholesale, worked for a premier buying group for some years, then back into wholesale, and then went out on my own. And I would say at no point was sales training or product training not a focus. But I would say, to your point, though, I think it's somewhat cyclical. So when I say that, let's kind of give you some context here. The industry through the years, through the decades, we go through periods where traffic is abundant, or at least steady enough that, business is good, and that can last sometimes for years. And then there's other times when traffic is not abundant at all, where door swings or nowadays clicks on your website, the number of consumers looking for these products can come down considerably. And those changes, even at the margin, can affect retailers. So having said that, when traffic is abundant, it seems like training on sales has a tendency to be de-emphasized, and training on product is really the mainstay, because number one, retailers and associates have less time to spend on training or developing because they're dealing with more customers. But when traffic, reduces, and now you have fewer door swings, just to use that term, you have a lot more time, and everything's focused on getting the yes. So if you're really focused on driving your conversion rate, and you're really focused on driving your tickets higher, and ultimately, driving, the net profitability on each and every guest higher, because you have fewer guests, that's when sales training there's a real hyper focus on sales training.
Very interesting. Now, I think that a lot of retailers do sales training right, and I think there are a lot of great examples out there that we could, refer to. But one of the questions that I love to ask is, what are some things that you see retailers doing wrong when it comes to sales training?
Well, if you don't mind, let's catch them doing something right. Okay. So
Yeah.
the retailers, and I think this also applies towards just broader companies in general, retailers where training and development is part of their culture, it's less cyclical and part of their culture, those have a tendency to do things right, because training is ongoing. Training should be always. You're always going to wind up with new people, and you're always going to wind up with new products. And then you're going to wind up with, changing behaviors with consumers and so on. So training should always be part of the culture, and it should not be optional. And it should be, just on a repetitive schedule. Even if you think you've run out of things to talk about or to expose your staff to, I would push back on that. There's always time for review and new ways to think about things, and to really empower your staff to take a deeper role in training each other. So the ones who make that as part of their culture, in my opinion, they're the ones who get it right more often than not. But to speak to your direct question, with all of these things, okay, that's going on, I think the big opportunity is, I'll make a statement. Information is not learning, experiences. And I'll say it again, information is not learning, experiences. If you look at the textbook definition of learning, it's a relatively permanent change in behavior as a result of experience. A relatively permanent change in behavior as a result of experience. At no point in that definition is the word information in there. It's talking about a change in behavior, and it's talking about the word experience. We learn through experience, not through information transfer. And I think all too many retailers or companies in general somehow put an overemphasis on the transfer of information, but that does not result in learning. It is the experience of actually using that information that brings about a change in behavior that brings about a different result. So I'll give you an example. So many years ago, Thailand had a smoking problem. I mean, their population had a high percentage of smokers. So they did all kinds of things in order to try and deliver the information that people really should not be smoking. Don't start smoking, stop if you can, reduce it, all these health problems. Okay, and they had like this a small amount of measured result, but by no means was it significant. And then they changed their tact and they used PSAs that were very emotional, that really delivered an impactful experience, whereas they actually, in real time, they had young children walking up to people who were smoking outside of, commercial buildings or whatever, and they would have a cigarette in their hand and say, "Can I have a light?" I mean, like a 7-year-old child. And every single adult would say, "No, I'm not giving this to you. This happens, don't smoke, don't do this, don't do that." So everyone clearly had the information that smoking is not good, but yet they continued to smoke. So at the end of this, the child would hand them a note saying, "Hey, you care about me, why not about yourself?" And when they ran this PSA, they learned they had a 40% sustained increase in calls for help. And these types of emotional PSAs, where it wasn't just delivering information, it was really delivering an experience that motivates a change in behavior. So let's bring that back to our industry. If you just have reps coming in and they have their handouts and they're telling you what's in this and what's in that, that's all they do, well, I'm not sure you're going to change a behavior. But if you have people, or whether you employ them or you hire folks like myself or someone else who are professional trainers, or you have some other way of doing it where not only are they delivering information, but they're showing the why behind it, they're showing the how behind it. They get your teams involved where there's activities where they practice and they constantly follow up afterwards, where there's actually a change in behavior on behalf of your sales staff. Well, guess what? You're going to drive your results higher. So training is not information. It's an experience. And those trainers who understand that will deliver an impactful experience that changes behavior, that changes results.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it kind of helps as a consumer to think about, when I go into a mattress store and I'm looking for a mattress, I don't want to know all of the product specs. I don't want to know, all of the little information details, the height of the bed necessarily. I want to know how this is going to affect my sleep and therefore my life after that. And that emotional connection, I feel like you said, is really just something that more retailers can focus on and encourage their RSAs to focus on, which does lead me to my next question. If there are retailers that need to kind of take a look at their sales training strategy, do you have any place that you suggest that they start?
Yes. Well, it would be different whether or not you're chatting online or dealing with like a digital customer versus a store door visit. So let's talk about a store door visit. There is a journey from the door to the desk. And nowadays, digital consumer arrives at your store with a lot more information and they're further down the purchase funnel than they used to be 30 years ago. That's just all there is to it. So having said that, I think the principles of engagement from the door to the desk really need to be thought out and trained, and they need to be consistent with your culture. Everything from the greeting to asking the right questions and learning what the customer's needs and wants are, and then presenting a product through the lens of their needs and wants, and not discussing features that have no bearing on that customer's needs and wants. In essence, don't, for lack of a better word, show up and throw up. Okay, pardon the term there, but that's not what the customer is looking for. They're looking for a personalized custom experience to their needs and wants, because we live in a consumer age where it's all about me, the consumer. Everything is about me as the consumer, and as such we need to treat them with that in mind, in a kinder, gentler way of asking questions, drawing the customer out, having them feel comfortable where they can really just sort of open up. And then you take the information not really to a sales advantage. That's not it. It's in essence, okay, let me match you with the right product that actually is specifically designed in order to address those needs. And when I'm going to do so, I would present that in a meaningful, impactful way where it's not just words. You say it so they hear it, you show it so they see it, then you demonstrate it by involving them as a proof of concept, and then you restate it as a reason to buy. In essence, you're matching the right product to the customer's needs. So I think that a thoughtful process of the journey from the door to the desk that's rooted in treating the customer with the right level of respect and dignity, learning what their needs and wants are, and then, actively seeking a product that really was designed for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's interesting too, in the mattress industry, it's really one of the unique industries where you are finding a product that suits a person, based on their actual needs. If you think about a TV, there's size basically and picture quality, and that's about it. But, with mattresses, it's a little bit different. There's a little bit more to consider there. Very interesting. Yeah, very insightful, Bob.
Yeah. And if I can add to that, if you don't mind, Alex,
Yeah.
so, you have this fluffy rectangle on the floor. There might be 5 wonderful features to talk about, but only 2 of them apply to that customer. They don't need to know all 5. The
Yeah.
deep dive should be on the 2 that are going to resonate with the customer. So, in essence, when you get it right, when you really understand this, you will present the same mattress in different ways to different clients rather than delivering a script on that mattress to every client. I think today's consumer deserves that customized presentation, and that requires us as sales associates, as professionals, to really be hyper interested in what their needs and wants are, and then develop the communication skills to draw that out so that when I do get in front of a product that they really like, there's body comfort, wallet comfort, and then there's the right match, if you think about it. I want to make that product come alive within the lens of what their needs and wants are. And I'm not going to be spending time on some science that's in the mattress that has no bearing on their life. You're wasting your time there.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, that was very insightful, Bob. I really appreciate you taking the time today.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invitation, Alex, and good luck.
Thank you.